welcome back to another video. Today, my dad's going to be telling 3 stories. Remember, like, subscribe, post notifications. Anyways, here's my dad.
Hello, today's theme is about how people are different when they travel. So you could be friends with somebody, but then you'll learn things about them when you travel with them, and sometimes it can be extraordinarily annoying. What I'm telling you today is about a couple of friends of mine that I traveled with. One guy we traveled with, he was no problem at all. We got along great and everything else. The other guy, well, we get along great as friends and all. He really is a very annoying travel companion, and I will give you some examples of what it is. So our trip was actually to Disney, and we have a cruise that comes up after this. But anyway, we went to Disney, and it was going to be a very good time. It was a partial cruise, like 4 days on a cruise and several days in Disney. And we went there, and the first thing we learned is just how much this guy likes to sleep. It's amazing that we would be in the room getting ready to go and he'd be sound asleep. So we said, you know what, we'll go to the gift shop. We'll pick up some shirts and things that we need to go because it was like a billion degrees in Orlando in August. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to sleep. We come back upstairs and he's still sleeping. We wake him up and he still wants to sleep. Then his complaint is that he's on vacation. He can sleep as much as he wants. We're like, you know what? We're going to take the rental car. We're going to Disney. You can stay here. He says, that's just fine. Ultimately, he did wind up getting in the car. He slept in the car on the way over to Disney. We went to Disney. We're going around. He slept on at least 3 of the rides. It's unbelievable. But anyway, so he finally wakes up. We're doing everything in Disney. And he had the thing that was driving us absolutely nuts was he had a camera with him. And he kept dropping this camera. This isn't, in the days before cell phones, you'd walk around and you'd have a display. It was kind of like a disposable camera, only it had batteries in it and everything for the flash. And every time he'd drop it, the batteries would come spilling out all over the place. He'd scramble to get the batteries, and then he'd always put them in wrong. Every single time he'd put these batteries in wrong, backwards, this way, up way. They would turn towards each other. The whole thing, you can't put them in that way. 4 batteries all over the place. One time he lost the battery, and every single time he'd complain, I lost the battery. It's not working. The camera's broken. It's broken. It's broken. And then we'd look at it and we'd say, listen, the batteries go in this way. So we'd put the batteries back in. Camera was working. Wonderful. So this would go on. This probably happened 14 to 20 times where he'd be standing there. The camera would hit the floor. Batteries would spill out and everything. We started to get really annoyed at him every single time. It's not working. Now it's not working. It's broken. We'd put the batteries back in again. I could do this another 15 times and it would just make you angry because that's what it was doing to us. So we're standing in front of Mickey Mouse and Goofy, and the 2 of them are there, and he pulls his camera out, and it flies out of his hand for some reason. Doesn't know how to hold on to it. It shatters on the ground, and just as you'd expect, the batteries come out, and he goes to put them back in. It's broken. It's broken. We had it. We had absolutely had it. And the 2 of us started to strangle him right in front of Mickey and Goofy. And the 2 characters had to break us up. It was that bad. There was a security guard and Mickey was horrified. Goofy was like trying to get in the middle of the 2 of us. We just had it with him. But anyways, we've got pictures of that if anybody doubts it. And they were from his camera, which we did get working. So anyway, that's kind of the backdrop. We went to one of these beautiful islands, this Blue Lagoon Island. It's gorgeous. It's where they actually filmed the opening scene in Gilligan's Island. And if you've ever been there, it's really nice. And I'll tell you, you lay on the beach. It's relaxing. It's the sound of waves, little, palm trees, people laughing, splashing in the surf, and Joe snoring because he's asleep again and sound asleep. So my friend and I decided to see how many sand grains we could toss into his mouth while he lay on the beach snoring. So we picked up a handful of sand each, and we're slowly aiming them at his mouth and throwing them in and keeping score as to how many. Eventually, he woke up and he's, spitting the sand out of his mouth. So we anyway, that was that. So next time we were ready. We went on a cruise with this guy. And we decided that it would be fun to bet on everything that he did. Rather than just get angry at it, we would actually, do some betting. So we bet a dime on all the things that he would do. And it would be anything you could possibly imagine, from how many times he would go to the bathroom, which he did constantly. I mean, you think he slept a lot, he'd go to the bathroom a lot. During a typical dinner, it was somewhere between 6 and 8 times he'd get up to go to the bathroom. I don't know what was wrong with him. But anyway, so my one friend would have odds and I would have evens, and we'd have dimes ready. I had a whole pocket full of dimes, both of us did, so we could flip the dimes back and forth right in front of him as he'd get up to go to the bathroom. We'd throw a dime and, "What are you betting on me again?" But anyway, we had two very, very good bets that were going. First of all, the bets officially began when the ship started moving. So that was number one. And I had a couple of bets. I bet that he would break something, and I also bet that he would drop something overboard. So maybe a camera. I think it was bonus if it was a camera. But anyway, so the ship was in New York Harbor. It just started to move. It like crept maybe an inch. There were bubbles coming up from underneath underneath, and he's standing by the railing, and his elbow hits his drink, and the drink goes overboard. So I am like jumping up and down. This is fantastic. And just before it hits the water, it hit one of the lifeboats and shattered. So that was a 2-for-1. I had 2-for-1. It was one of the greatest moments of the cruise. Is that he did drop something overboard and he broke something. It counted because it broke on the lifeboat. And then the shattered glass went overboard. So it counted for a twofer. But the other thing we had a bet going that somebody would ask if something was wrong with him when we were in Bermuda. So we were in Bermuda and we're walking around, and the bet that I had was the bet that my friend had actually was that someone would ask if there was something wrong with him. Well, he was walking and he fell off a curb, and a woman asked him, "Are you all right?" And that sparked a huge debate between us as to whether that meant, does that imply, my friend was arguing that it implies that something is wrong with him. But I said, no, that's not exactly what she said. She asked him if he was all right. But again, he said it implies that something is wrong with you. So that starts an argument between my friend and I, and we're going back and forth on this, that who's right and who's wrong. So finally we brought Joe in to bring the tiebreaker. If somebody asks you, are you all right, does that mean something's wrong with you? And he's thinking about this, and he says, well, I guess it means there's something wrong with you. So that was a bet that I lost. But at any rate, so these are the fun things. When you travel with somebody who's very annoying, I would suggest highly that you take some bets on them, bet with other people in the party. It makes a lot of fun and a lot less annoying from what they do. Thank you.
All right, everybody, I really hope that you enjoyed those stories. All right, and have a great